I happen to believe that Jesus was a Shaktipath guru.
What? Really?
I really do believe that because when I read the New Testament, I recognize all the things that he did. My guru and other gurus have done to touching people and they're healed. So in the Christian tradition, Jesus was born under a particular star at night, right? And there are 3 wise men from the east that came to visit him. According to the Kashmiris, I've been in Kashmir, in Srinagar, they say that the 3 wise men were, 1, the king of Kashmir.
The king of Kashmir.
Brought gold, right?
Okay.
The astrologer that knew what the star meant, followed the star to the child.
Yeah.
And the third one was Jesus' guru.
What are the elements of Kashmir Shaivism? What are the practices within it? What are the techniques and what powers does it give you?
There is a scripture called the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra.
Okay.
And in this particular scripture, there are 112 different practices, different ways that people can meditate. So there's sort of 3 levels of practice. These are called the 3 upayas. You've heard this term?
Yes, upayas, I have 3
means,
upayas.
The 3 means.
Yes.
And each of them begin from a different perspective.
What are the perspectives?
So for example, the anuvupaya begins from the perspective that I'm a human being and there's God and we're separate.
As much as I understood or as much as I read, that the Kashmir Shaivism Tantra, it does not ask you to reject the material comforts.
I was in Kashmir. I spent 10 weeks the first time I was there and 8 weeks the second time. When I was there, they asked me not to wear the orange.
Not to wear the bhagwa.
Not to wear the orange. And I said, why? They said, according to Shaivism, there's nothing to renounce. Everything is God.
Wow. Hello everybody, this is your host Rangoli Sharma and a very warm welcome to your favorite spiritual podcast, Speaking Tree. This episode is going to be one of the most special episodes I've shot so far. You know, if you consider Mahadev, Shivji, as your father, as your Lord, as your East, and if you consider yourself his child, I'm sure this podcast is going to bring you a little more closer to him today. You know, I've been waiting for months now to understand Kashmir Shaivism from a guru. And today, the day has arrived. Yes, today we understand Kashmir Shaivism. Why is it so profound to understand that Shiva Tattva? How it talks about the creation of the universe. How it talks about the union of the cosmic father and mother, Shiva and Shakti. How is it linked to Tantra, especially Vigyaan Bhairav Tantra? What are the elements of Kashmir Shaivism which make it so profound? If you want to understand life, death, the journey of our souls, and the ultimate path, liberation, can Kashmir Shaivism help you to understand all of this better? If these are the questions you keep asking yourself, this podcast is going to give you all the answers. And you know, for this special episode, a very special guest has joined me today. He's a global spiritual and meditation guru. And on the command of his guru, Swami Muktananda, he has been giving Kundalini Shaktipath for more than 40 years now. He's also teaching Siddha Yoga, which includes Kashmir Shaivism, Vedanta, Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So today we are going to understand the deeper, the mystical side of Kashmir Shaivism and who exactly is Shiva. So do watch this podcast till the end. And before starting the podcast, do let me know from which part of the world are you watching this episode. And now, let me introduce you to my guest today. Swamiji, a very warm welcome to Speaking Tree. I'm so happy to have you on the show finally today.
Namaskar, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very honored.
Our pleasure, Swamiji. And I feel that what sets Kashmir Shaivism apart is the fact that it tells you that you are not separate from Shiva, right? So, they say when you truly want to understand that Shiv Tattva, when you truly want to understand Shiva, Kashmir Shaivism has a profound role to play. So, my simple question here would be from you, why is Kashmir Shaivism is considered in highest regard, like how it truly understands Shiva and how it truly understands that Shiv Tattva?
Well, the Indian tradition, the Darshanas have evolved over centuries, and Vedanta is the end of the Vedas.
Yes.
And if we think about Indian philosophy, it's a conversation over time, over the centuries. The penultimate teaching is Kashmir Shaivism. It actually builds on the tradition of Vedanta and answers a fundamental question.
Truly.
Vedanta is considered non-dual, right?
Yeah.
So Brahman alone exists, the world is unreal, and the individual soul is Brahman, right?
Yes.
So it posits a duality, but says that the duality isn't real.
Exactly.
Shaivism says everything is consciousness. Everything is real.
Yeah.
And that the illusory power of Maya is actually a Shakti of Shiva, manifesting the will of Shiva Shakti to manifest as a universe, to sport in, to play as individuals, as us.
Yeah.
So it includes all of Vedanta, includes all of the Darshanas of the Indian philosophies, but adds to it and says that Chaitanyam Atman, the nature of reality is consciousness. The nature of the individual is consciousness. The nature of the world is consciousness. And na shivam vidyate kvachit. There's nothing that exists separate from consciousness.
That is not Shiva.
That's not Shiva.
Yes, it says that Shiva is the absolute reality, right?
Yes, exactly.
And we are not separate from him.
Shiva is the absolute reality and inseparable from Shakti.
Exactly.
And so Shiva and Shakti are one.
Yeah.
And it was through their desire to manifest that the universe came into being for their own delight, for their own sport.
Yeah, exactly.
So we, each of us, are Shiva, sporting as human beings, forgetting our divine nature and pretending that we're human beings.
Yeah.
And we enjoy life like this until we get tired of
Forgetting the divinity within us.
Exactly. That's part of the divine plan.
Yeah. Oh, that's also part of divine plan.
It is. It's part of the plan. How could, if Shiva knew that he was everything, Shakti was the divine power, the game would be over, wouldn't it? There wouldn't be any duality in the world. We couldn't really live as human beings. So it's the way that Shiva and Shakti manifested the world by choice.
Yeah. So, Swamiji, as you rightly said, that Kashmir Shaivism says that the whole universe is a manifestation of the union of the cosmic father and the mother, the union of Shiv and Shakti, right? And this philosophy is quite different from other schools of thoughts and other Shiva traditions like Adi Shankaracharya's Advaita Vedanta, right?
It's a monistic tradition.
Yes, exactly.
Meaning there's just one.
Yeah.
That means everything.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is when you study some of the scriptures of Shaivism, like for example the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, there are 112 forms of meditation, like things like recognizing the beauty of a sunset, following the joy that arises from seeing a sunset to its source, eating beautiful food, seeing a friend. These are all what I would call positive experiences. Shaivism also says that when you're running through the jungle in terror and the tiger's about to eat you, this is an opportunity to realize the self. When you stub your toe, when you prick your finger, when you have a really intense negative emotion, the substance of the emotion is Shakti, and you can recognize that. That's why, for example, so many soldiers in the midst of war have their spiritual awakening. I had a very dear friend who I co-taught with for many years. He was in the United States Marine Corps in World War II. He was at the Battle of Iwo Jima, one of the bloodiest war battles ever. And he had his spiritual awakening on the battlefield. Saw people getting blown up and people getting murdered, people dying, and all of a sudden he realized he wasn't the body. He was Shiva, and this was the play.
Yeah.
So Shaivism is radically non-dual in everything.
Yeah.
So think about any experience that we have in life becomes an opportunity to recognize the bliss of the self. Not just positive experiences, but what we would consider painful, emotional experiences are opportunities to awaken.
How to awaken that Shakti? And when I speak about awakening, I want to know about Kundalini rising. Like, what does Kundalini rising mean in Kashmir Shaivism, and how to awaken that energy within yourself?
In the third chapter, in the Shiva Sutras, it says, Guru Rupaya.
Guru Rupaya.
Guru Rupaya. That the Guru is the means. Doesn't necessarily mean physical Guru or living being, but it's the grace-bestowing power of God that is the means of realizing the self. And so the role of Shaktipath, or the transmission of the spiritual energy for the purpose of awakening Kundalini, is a very important part of it. When I first started reading the Pratyabhijna in the preamble to it, it says, if you haven't received Shaktipath from a guru, don't bother to read this because you won't understand it. So part of the awakening of the Kundalini
is having a guru.
Is that awakening awakens the consciousness so that you can actually hear the teachings. Someone who hasn't received Shaktipath can read the Kashmir Shaivism text and not have any inkling of what it really means. Once the awakening takes place, the veil of illusion has been removed, and you can read those scriptures and understand them. So Shaktipath works at many, many different levels. It can work at the physical level, as it did in my case. I had rheumatoid arthritis when I met my guru. I had physical kriyas, hatha yoga postures and pranayama that happened for a period of 9 months. So all of my arthritic deposits were completely removed. I had a remission of rheumatoid arthritis. So mine was physical. Others experience the awakening where it removes the veil of illusion of the mind, where the truth can be written, but we can't understand it. It gives you insight. It's like it somehow awakens our ability to understand more deeply. Shaktipath increases all of the senses. Artists become more sensitive. They can see colors they hadn't seen before. They become more perceptive. Cooks, for example, can taste in greater depth than they ever tasted before. So their dishes become more delicious. The senses become refined as you awaken. The Kundalini begins its journey from the base of the spine and moves through not only the physical body, but the subtle body, piercing the various chakras, removing any blockages that we might have, and awakening the full potential of each of the 7 chakras. Now, traditionally in the West, we talk about 6 or 7 chakras.
Yes.
In Kashmiri Shaivism, they actually talk about 12.
12 chakras.
There are additional chakras, and there are some that are beyond the Sahasrara that connect us to the universal powers of Shiva Shakti.
So the energy flows through all the chakras and then it unites with Shiva.
Exactly.
That's how it awakens.
So traditionally we talk about the mystical marriage of Shiva and Shakti.
Okay.
So think
mystical
about
marriage.
Shakti, the
Such
mystical
a
marriage.
Wonderful word.
Yeah, well, think about the Shakti in the Muladhara chakra.
Yes.
Moves through the spinal column. And it said that Shiva resides in the crown.
In the crown
and
chakra.
And so when all the chakras have been purified and the Shakti can move through the Sushumna Nadi, mystical marriage takes place here.
On the crown chakra.
On the crown chakra. And then beyond that, there are so this would be called Atmavyapti.
Atmavyapti.
We would realize the self. And then Shaivism posits there are additional chakras up here that unite us to the universal powers of Shiva. So we can become omniscient, omnipotent. Our Swatantriya Shakti is fully awakened once those chakras become pierced.
Interesting. So the interesting and additional part of Kashmir Shaivism when Kundalini awakening is concerned, it's that it talks about more chakras than the 7 chakras that we usually hear.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, Swamiji, when we talk about Shakti, Kashmir Shaivism also says that Shakti is freedom, right? So, what is this comparison of Shakti to freedom? Like, what is it trying to tell us? And as you rightly said, that we all have to realize that Shakti within us.
So, Shiva and Shakti are one and inseparable. And even the Vedic tradition says that the nature of reality is light, Prakasha, right? The light of... Shaivism adds an additional word to that says the self is not only Prakasha, it's also Vimarsh. So it's the light of consciousness, but it's conscious of its own being. And so the two primary principles are Shiva Shakti, being and becoming. Existence and awareness of existence. And the nature of this existence is Swatantriya. Swatantriya Shakti. Swatantriya means absolute freedom. That unimpeded sovereignty to know and to do anything. Another word for that would be Icha Shakti. Icha Shakti. So that's the Swatantriya aspect of Shiva, and it's the nature of Shiva Shakti to have this unimpeded sovereignty. Swatantriya, Icha Shakti. And the Icha Shakti can know anything and can do anything. What's interesting about Shaivism is that same power exists within us. As human beings, it's a limited power. We can do certain things, we can know certain things, right? But the potential to be infinite, the potential to know anything and do anything is already within us. We simply need to unfold that contracted Shakti back to its fullness. And each of us have the capacity to do that. Through meditation, we can let go of the contracted, limited energies of a human being and recognize our true divinity, which is Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti.
Lovely.
The ability to know anything, the ability to do anything. We each have these energies in a contracted, limited form as human beings. So long as we identify with our being a human being, we'll remain contracted. Once we recognize our divinity, then these extraordinary Shaktis unfold.
Exactly. So one major principle, if I conclude for my viewers, of Kashmir Shaivism is the realization that when you realize. So, Swamiji, before we understand more about Shakti and how to awaken it, I would love to understand for my audience, like, what are the elements of Kashmir Shaivism? What are the practices within it? What are the techniques and what powers does it give you? Like if somebody practices Kashmir Shaivism.
There is a scripture called the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. And in this particular scripture, there are 112 different practices, different ways that people can meditate. And it's through the practice of meditation that we can come to recognize, which is a key word in Shaivism, to recognize our divinity. So it can happen in an instant. Usually it takes years and years of practice, but the realization takes place in an instant where all of a sudden we just realize,
I am Shiva.
I'm Shiva. And so there's sort of three levels of practice. These are called the three upayas. You've heard this term?
Yes, upayas, I have
the
three
means,
upayas.
The three means.
Yes.
And each of them begin from a different perspective.
What are the perspectives?
So for example, the anuvupaya begins from the perspective that I'm a human being and there's God and we're separate. Right? And so I will do puja, I will go to arati, I'll do pilgrimage, I'll do things that use my body in order to earn grace from God. To
connect with Him.
To connect with God, right? So this is called the anuvupaya. As I say, it begins with the belief that I'm separate from God and that I can earn grace through spiritual practice. This is anuvupaya, and there's lots and lots of different practices. This is what's most commonly practiced in India, right?
Exactly.
People go to arati and they chant mantras. And
in the form of bhakti.
Bhakti, yes. Worshipping God, right? So the second upaya is called Shaktipaya. Shaktipaya. So we're introduced to the non-dual teachings. They sound good, but we don't really experience them. So if I said to you, God dwells within you as you, you'd go, maybe, that we're one with God.
Exactly.
Well,
but how do I feel
takes a
him?
little while to realize
the
that, right?
idea doesn't fascinate us much because, Swamiji, since we cannot see them in a physical form, no, that's why we cannot believe that God is within us.
Right. So we hear it. And so we begin to do the practices to make that a reality for us. So, for example, when I go to the temple and if I'm just chanting or repeating mantras, that would be an anuvapaya practice. But if I'm chanting it for the purpose of doing yoga, of joining my soul with the Supreme Soul, I have an intention to join, to become one. So I would repeat the mantra with the awareness that the mantra, the sound mantra, and the deity of the mantra and my own self are one. I might not believe that, but my guru told me that that's true, so I'm going to repeat the mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, or whatever it is, with that sort of awareness. So this is where we move from doing physical practices to purely mental practices with the intention of joining the individual soul with the Supreme Soul.
Yeah.
Okay? The third level of practice is called Shambhavupaya. Shambhavupaya.
Okay.
And so in this level of practice, one is lifted through either grace or through spiritual practice into the awareness, I'm Shiva, I'm Shakti, I'm one with the universe, right?
Yeah.
And many spiritual seekers have that experience. Chanting, going to kirtan, going into meditation, getting Shaktipath from the guru, whatever, they have the experience, I'm that. But what happens? The experience dwindles.
Exactly.
It goes away. We leak it out.
Exactly.
Right? So in Shambhavupaya, it's exercising not the ego's will, but the Icha Shakti that exists within us to hold on to that experience. So I get Shaktipath, and then this is beyond thinking. This is the divine will within us. I exercise my divine will to remain in that awareness that I'm Shiva, that I'm Shakti, and to avoid the things that might dissipate the energy, avoid the energy leaks. So this is called Shambhavupaya, where we're catapulted into the direct experience of our own divinity, and our part is to try to maintain that and not slip back into human consciousness. Now there is a fourth upaya called Anupaya. Anupaya, which is no practice.
No practice at all.
Because you're given the gift of grace.
Yeah.
You become aware that you're Shiva and there's no falling back.
Like
so you're fully self-realized at that point.
Yes, you don't have to do bhakti, you don't have to chant mantras, you just realize.
And that's key. Realize, recognize. So there's a whole scripture, a whole school of thought, in fact, in Shaivism called recognition. You may have heard the scripture Pratyabhijna, which is the doctrine of self-recognition.
Yeah.
And these are different practices that one can do in Shaivism to have a moment of recognition. I'm Shiva. And much of it is recognizing the qualities of Shiva, the five fundamental powers, the five main Shaktis of Shiva, which is Chit Shakti, the light of being, Ananda Shakti, the Shakti of bliss, Icha Shakti, the power of unimpeded sovereignty of will, Jnana Shakti, the totality of knowledge, and Kriya Shakti, which is the power of action, the ability to manifest. And we as individuals have those same five Shaktis, but in a limited form.
Yeah.
So we all experience joy, Ananda. We all have willpower, limited willpower. We all have the ability to know certain things. We all have the ability to do certain things.
Exactly.
So we recognize that as above, as Shiva and Shakti do, so do I do on a limited form. And as we begin to recognize the essential unity between Shiva, Shakti, and Purusha Prakriti, our own being, we naturally begin to unfold those five Shaktis back to their universal power. So these five universal powers pass through Maya and become contracted, and they're called the Kanchukas. So if Shiva is the capacity to manifest anything, Kriya Shakti, we have that, but in a limited form.
Okay.
We can manifest certain things. Whereas Shiva has Jnana Shakti, which is universal knowledge, the knowledge of everything.
Yes.
We have it in a limited form, and we can attain knowledge by reading books and conversations and perception. We have it in a limited form. So each of the 5 universal Shaktis become contracted, measured out. In fact, the word Maya, Maya Shakti, in Shaivism is a Shakti of Shiva and Shakti. It's Maya Shakti that carries out the intention of Shiva and Shakti to manifest through the process of contraction, of limitation. We call it involution. So the universal Shaktis of Shiva Shakti gradually become more contracted, till we become a human being, and we can sport in the universe as separate until we get tired of the game. And then through spiritual practice, we can recognize our essential unity, and we begin to naturally unfold these contracted Shaktis back to their original form.
Wow.
And what's interesting is that in the Vedantic tradition and traditional Indian philosophy, once you recognize that the Purusha is Shiva, you're fully self-realized. This is called Atmavyapti. Atmavyapti.
Okay.
Shaivism says there's more. You're not fully self-realized until you've unfolded all of the powers of Shiva back to their original form. And that's called Shiva Vyapti.
Guruji, but is it practically possible for a human to, completely and fully realize the powers of Shiva within oneself?
You've heard about some of these great saints that have these siddhis that can manifest. They can heal.
Yes.
They can manifest in more than one spot. So yes, that's who we are. And our journey isn't complete until we can do that. This is just my idea, but this may be true, that you're not complete until you have the capacity to manifest an entire universe. That this universe that we're living in may be one siddha just manifesting his Shiva by manifesting this universe. There may be infinite universes
Exactly.
out there.
I so believe the same,
You do?
Guruji. Yes,
Yeah.
that there are different lokas, there are different realms.
Exactly.
And it's just a part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So self-realization is, in our tradition, recognizing. So we do the various practices and then, we recognize,
I am Shiva.
I'm me. Little old David from Pittsburgh is Shiva. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yes.
And it happened.
Yeah.
That we simply awake. Now, Shaktipath is a great part of that. Shaktipath is the direct transmission of the fully awakened energy of the lineage of gurus that gives you the direct experience of your own self.
How does Shaktipath help you in realizing that you are Shiva? I think that would be the question of many of my viewers.
It's a direct transmission of the full consciousness of Shiva. Think about it this way. You've seen people prime a pump?
Yeah.
So the pump is not pumping.
Yeah.
There's no water, right?
There's no water, but still.
if you put a little water into it and you pump it, the water comes back.
Yeah.
So Shaktipath's like that. So it's a transmission of a little bit of awakened energy that awakens the Kundalini and the Muladhara chakra and draws the energy up through the spine, piercing the various chakras and leading to the direct experience, I'm Shiva.
But Guruji, to, even handle that energy, one needs to have those abilities. Otherwise, if this is so much energy, how would an unawakened person would handle that energy?
Well, this is why it's important to do sadhana. It's important to do sadhana so that you don't leak the energy once you receive it. Now,
or you don't drain yourself.
Traditionally, this is why you would do sadhana for 12 years or 15 years. You'd live with the guru, you'd meditate and listen to the scriptures and do your selfless service and chant mantras and live a pure life, vegetarian life, and to strengthen your capacity to hold that energy, right? And at the end of 12 years or 15 years, The guru would either give you the mantra through the ear, Tattvamasi, or give you the physical touch, and you would be catapulted into Shambhavupaya.
Yes.
Right? And you'd be able to hold it. Then, or it would be Anupaya, where you would just instantly be complete. Now, what was unique about Muktananda, he broke the old mold. Instead of giving people Shaktipath at the end of 12 years, he gave people like myself Shaktipath at the beginning to give us a little taste of it. He knew the Western mind. Yeah. We weren't going to come to an ashram and pick up cow dung and meditate for 12 years to get Shaktipath, right? We want it now.
Yes.
Right? We go to McDonald's, we want everything fast food. We want it now. So what he did is he created this 2-day intensive where people would get Shaktipath and they would get a taste of it. I mean, that's what happened when I first met him, was like...
That was the similar experience you had with him?
Exactly.
Wow.
So he would give you a taste of what it was like. And it would fade, but you would have had a taste. Now
you want more.
You recognize there's nothing in the world worth pursuing more than that.
Yes.
And so then you would devote the rest of your life. I've devoted the last 50 years to holding on to that experience. And I've cultivated my physical body, my thinking, my getting rid of my limiting beliefs, and also processing shadow. You see, you can have
shadow.
You can be elevated to the highest state of consciousness, but if you haven't really looked at your shadow, it follows you to the highest stages of consciousness. That's why so many of the gurus, for example, that went to the West had big falls.
Exactly.
Because they didn't have a technology or hadn't fully digested their shadow. Right? So it's important to do both, to realize the self, but also to look at your shit.
Yeah.
I hate to be so blunt, but we all have stuff that we haven't, old traumas, limiting beliefs, negativity, that we've all developed coping skills to not deal with painful emotions. And the more we repress or suppress emotions, the more life they have, and they build on each other until it becomes the samskara becomes a vasana, a way of living, and then it needs to be processed. Right? So I'm a firm believer in integrating Eastern technology with Western technology. So I believe in meditation, Shaktipath, Hatha Yoga, all the scriptures, but I've also done a lot of shadow work where I look at my stuff. Look, it comes up naturally in meditation.
Yes.
It comes up, and so you need to know how to handle it. And the one scripture in the Eastern tradition that really deals with this is the Pratyabhijna Hridayam. Pratyabhijna Hridayam. It's the heart of the doctrine of recognition. Okay. And in a couple of the sutras at the end, there's only 20 sutras in this particular scripture, but I think it's number 18 or 17, it's towards the end, where it talks about Hatapaka and Lamgrasa. Okay. 2 practices of dealing with the shadow. Basically, these are practices where we fully digest the energy of the experience without labeling it, without giving it a name. So Hatapaka is when some traumatic experience, we get triggered, energy comes up, right? And a lot of times people either repress the energy, their anger or their contraction, or they take alcohol, they take a drug. They don't fully experience it. So Hatapaka is like being fully present with the experience, digesting it fully and completely, so that the hormones that are released when a traumatic experience happens, they get all digested and you're completely free from it.
Wow.
A lamgrasa is when you're in a situation where you can't fully digest it because you're at work or you're not in a place where you can do it, but you can go back afterwards and fully digest the experience. Because if we can fully digest the experience, there's no karma, no residual traces of it to be re-experienced the next time. And what happens is that if we continually repress or suppress certain emotions, don't fully digest them, they build and they build and they build and then explode and when we get triggered.
Yeah, exactly. So, Guruji, now that we understood the elements of Kashmir Shaivism, we understood the Shiv Tattva. I'm sure, you've been teaching Kashmir Shaivism into so many countries since so long. So, I would love to know the cross-cultural aspect of Kashmir Shaivism, like globally. How do people understand it? And how is it like bridging the traditions into different countries?
So I see the commonalities in some of the teachers. For example, I spent 5 years living in Assisi, Italy, home of St. Francis of Assisi. St. Francis is a great Catholic saint. I went to a Franciscan school. I was trained by Franciscans, and I left the church thinking, I don't believe all this stuff. But coming back from the East, back to my roots, I began to see that Francis had the same kind of understanding and experience. He said that it's the witness of the mind. He said that which you're looking for, that which you're seeking in life, is that which is looking. He was talking about the inner witness. So that which is looking, right? Not the eye. I wasn't talking about the eyes. That which is the witness of all that's arising in your field of consciousness. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
That's the source of love. That's the source of joy. It comes from within your own being. And he realized that in the last couple years of his life. At the end of his life, in the last year of his life, he was suffering. He had the stigmata, the wounds of Jesus. He was almost blind. His physical body was racked, and he was suffering greatly. And he prayed to God and said, I can't take it anymore. I'm suffering. What can I do?
Yeah.
And the voice of God spoke to him, said, live as if you're in paradise now. And he had his awakening that he was already in the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven, Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. It's not out there.
Yeah.
It's inside. And he had a direct experience of that, and he was fully realized.
Wow.
I happen to believe that Jesus was a Shaktipath guru.
What? Really?
I really do believe that, because when I read the New Testament, I recognize all the things that he did. My guru and other gurus have done to touching people and they're healed, right? And there's even stories, legitimate traditions that say that Jesus came to India.
Jesus came to India.
Well, let me tell you the story.
Wow.
So in the Christian tradition, Jesus was born under a particular star at night, right? And there are 3 wise men from the east that came to visit him.
3 wise men?
3 wise men
east.
From the east. That's what it says in the Bible. 3 wise men from the east came and brought him gifts. And according to the Kashmiris, I've been in Kashmir, in Srinagar, they say that the 3 wise men were, 1, the king of Kashmir.
The king of Kashmir.
Brought gold, right? The astrologer that knew what the star meant, followed the star to the child. And the 3rd one was Jesus' guru. The guru came to bless him, and according to tradition, at the age of 12, he came back to Kashmir and did sadhana with his guru, became fully realized, and traveled around India giving Shaktipath to the people in the different villages.
Wow, I've never heard that before. Many
places in India claim that Jesus was here. There's a cave in Srinagar, known as the Jesus Cave.
Jesus Cave,
Jesus. And to continue the story, Jesus went back after the age of 30, went back and had his mission and was crucified. According to the legend here, he resurrected, came back to Kashmir and lived to the age of 80, and he's buried in a tomb called Raspal in Srinagar, Kashmir. And I visited the tomb. It's there, and there's written the whole story of Jesus.
So you're saying that Jesus is buried in India?
Yes, he's been. That's what the tradition says. And when I look at his teachings, and I look at the work they did, I think he was a fully self-realized Siddha who went back to his local people and they crucified him. Came back to India, lived the rest of his life as a guru. We can't say for sure, but there are people researching it to see if there's historical evidence to that, and there seems to be some.
But till now, it's just a theory. It seems. Does it seem so?
Hasn't been proved. There are rumors that there are written scriptures in Tibet, in the Hemis monastery above Ladakh, that it has the story of Jesus written out from ancient scriptures. I don't know.
That's so interesting. Yes. Like when you told me that Jesus visited India and the three gurus, one was the king, the other was the astrologer, and the third one was his guru.
Yes.
So according to you, Jesus was a practitioner of Shaktipath, right?
Yes. Yeah, very, very likely trained in Kashmir.
Wow.
And yeah.
So interesting. I think this is something new that my audience got to know.
So his teaching was that the kingdom of heaven is within you.
Yeah.
They said his disciples, "Where's kingdom? Where's heaven?" He said, "It's not here. It's not there. It's inside of you." And this is the fundamental teaching that the Sanatana Dharma has espoused for thousands of years.
Swamiji, coming back to Tantra, as we rightly understood already that Kashmir Shaivism is linked to Tantra, and you told me that it is purely Tantra itself.
It's a tantric lineage, a tantric tradition.
Yeah. And as much as I understood or as much as I read, that the Kashmir Shaivism Tantra, it does not ask you to reject the material comforts.
Right.
That's what stands it out. So I would really love for you to shed some light on this very fact for my viewers.
Well, when I was in Kashmir, I spent 10 weeks the first time I was there and 8 weeks the second time. When I was there, they asked me not to wear the orange.
Not to wear the bhagwa.
Not to wear the orange. And I said, why? And they said, according to Shaivism, there's nothing to renounce. Everything is God.
Wow.
There's nothing that exists that's not God, so why do you want to teach renunciation?
So Kashmir Shaivism says that there's nothing to renounce.
There's nothing to renounce. Everything is God.
Yeah.
That they don't repress anything. They don't deny anything. They see everything as consciousness. Everything. That's the catch.
Everything.
So most people say, oh, this is God, but this isn't, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing in relationships.
Yeah.
That Jesus, Shaivism says, love everyone without exception. And that's the challenge for most of us, that we all have one person or somebody that we don't love. We're still holding a grudge with.
Yeah, somewhere deep inside.
Deep inside. And you can't be liberated until you've purged all of that, until you've forgiven everyone. That's a challenge.
It is.
Doesn't mean that we need to, be friends with everybody. But we need to forgive everyone, because if we don't forgive them, we're only punishing ourselves.
I agree.
Whenever you think about somebody that you're upset with, you're holding a grudge, you get contracted, you get upset,
inside
right?
you upsets.
Until you forgive it and let it go, doesn't mean that you forget everything, but you forgive it. You try to understand their perspective, why they did. None of us want to hurt another person, really.
Yeah.
But haven't we all hurt somebody?
Exactly. Knowingly and unknowingly we have.
And so, if that's true about me, it must be true about the person I'm holding the grudge with.
Truly.
So I can see it that way and let it go. I think this is a very important part of sadhana.
And Guruji, what is it about Vigyaan Bhairav Tantra? As we discussed, that it's directly linked to Kashmir Shaivism.
Yes.
What are the techniques that it talks about, and how should one adapt to it? Should one learn it or make it a part of their practice? If one is living a purely sattvic life.
Yeah. Well, first of all, to really receive the practice, one should receive it from someone who's practiced it. So there are 112 different practices. It's largely a book for gurus.
For gurus.
So we would study all 112 of them.
Yeah.
So when a student comes, we'll know, oh, this one should do this practice, this one should do that practice. In my own lineage, Swami Muktananda used the first 4 of the what they're called dharanas, centering practices, and he put them together into one practice. And so it was largely a practice on the breath. You want to do it now?
Yes, can we?
We could do it, yeah. So go ahead, close your eyes. I'll guide you through this.
Okay, and I think so can people in my audience.
Yes, they
so
can
we're
do
doing
that.
a technique.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a practice that was given to me by my guru, the practice of Hamsa.
Hamsa. Okay.
So close your eyes, begin the process of turning within, and we'll begin by noticing the breath. Notice that there's actually 4 parts to the breath. The breath comes in, there's a slight pause as the breath turns around and becomes an exhale. Then when we exhale, there's a slight pause. Noticing that it happens spontaneously and naturally on its own. So the first part of the practice is noticing where the breath arises outside the nose. At a distance of about 12 fingers, the breath comes in through the nose, down into the heart, and then exhaling the breath. The exhalation originates in the heart, goes through the nostrils and out to a distance of about 12 digits. Can you begin to sense that? That the movement of the air, the breath comes in, it's cooling in the nostrils. When the breath becomes an exhale, it's a little warmer as you exhale. Now begin to notice the pause between the breath. The breath comes in, and there's a slight pause, maybe not too much, where the breath turns around. Then the breath goes out, and there's a little bit of a pause there. So just take a couple of breaths, focusing on the pause between the breath. And as you notice the pause, it will very naturally and spontaneously begin to extend itself. The pause is very important in Shaivism, because in the pause there's stillness, there's no thoughts. There's an opportunity to pierce the veil of illusion and see through to the truth. Now we'll begin to add the mantra to the breath. As the breath comes in, mentally repeat the sound hum.
Hum.
Hum, which means I am. And as the breath goes out, mentally repeat the sound sa, which means that.
Sa.
Sa. You would simply mentally repeat it with the breath. Hum and sa. Hum on the in-breath, sa on the out-breath. And just watch the breath, repeating the mantra. Or you can focus on the pause between the breath. If you find the mind wandering or questioning, you can just gently bring it back to the practice of Hamsa, using the mantra as a centering prayer to keep the mind one-pointed. And that's enough to give you a little taste of it. You can open your eyes now.
Wow.
So, different parts of it. I usually do like a 2-day workshop teaching this, in more depth, but this gives you a little taste of it. And as the mind becomes quiet
Yes.
by focusing on the breath, you'll find that the pause between the breath naturally extends itself. This is called kumbhak.
Kumbhak.
Kumbhak, the spontaneous retention of breath. And this can extend. I've actually had the experience of having kumbhak for over an hour, where the breath would go out and no need to breathe. Once the mind becomes quiet, there's no need to breathe, right?
Yeah.
Because the prana, the life force, is the substance of thoughts. If you're not having thoughts, there's no need to breathe. This is why yogis can sometimes bury themselves in dirt for like 40 days.
Yeah.
They can go into a state of suspended animation for long periods of time.
Oh.
Lakshmanju in Kashmir, the last of the living gurus of Kashmir Shaivism, on his birthday, he would go into samadhi and sit for 10 hours with no breath. They could put a feather under his nose, no movement of air. He would just sit for 8 hours in a state of suspended. And he would do that every birthday. People would come and put flowers on him. Flies would be on his face, no movement, nothing. He would demonstrate this in front of people.
Wow.
Lakshmanju.
Lakshmanju.
Yeah, he was he was the end of the lineage of Kashmiri Shaivite gurus.
Okay.
So when he left his body in 1991, I think it was.
Okay.
And he didn't leave his successor. He left the teachings as his successor. And so there are many different practices, as I said, in the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. Some of them, the purpose of the practice is to demonstrate that the source of joy, that the source of beauty, that the source of love comes from within. So there are many practical experiences of life that are in the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra where they tell you to really notice. For example, go see a beautiful sunset. You see a beautiful sunset, and then close your eyes when you're seeing the sunset and feel and appreciate the sense of beauty. You know, the sense of beauty doesn't come out of the sunset and into you. Somehow the mind is satisfied and quiet, and we project the sense of beauty from within. So one of the practices is to feel and enjoy the beauty of a sunset. Another one is to enjoy the savor of food. Find something that you really like. A good piece of chocolate, no ice cream. Is there some food that you really love? What's your favorite?
Rasmalai.
Rasmalai.
It's an Indian dessert.
So the tantric practice would be to have rasmalai there. Prepare yourself.
Yes.
Take a bite. Close your eyes. And try to discover, where does the joy come from?
Yeah.
Tasting the rasmalai.
It's from my taste buds.
Deeper than that. Deeper than that. The source of joy itself comes from the self, comes directly from the Shakti. True joy, if you follow it to its root, Ananda, Shakti, the Shakti of Shakti is Ananda Shakti. So it's the source of love. For example, seeing a friend or a relative by surprise that you haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
You ever had that?
It is a matter of surprise. Yes, you will be shocked.
You'd be shocked, but there'll be a sense of joy, right?
Yeah.
So a number of years ago, I was crossing Ramjula in Rishikesh.
Yes.
I saw a figure come in the other direction, another Swami. He looked vaguely familiar. And as he got closer, I recognized it was Swami Brahmananda, a guru brother of mine, and I hadn't seen him in 45 years.
Oh my God.
So we got closer and closer. Brahmananda. We're like two little kids jumping up and down in the middle of the bridge. Yeah. The surprise. Now, the next day I saw him, we had a cup of coffee. We didn't have the same experience, right?
Exactly.
So somehow...
that was the eureka moment.
That was the spanda of the Shakti arising. And so there are many, many different experiences of that. Listening to music is very important in the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, where you take your most favorite piece of music.
Just like you took your most favorite dish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you play it until you feel moved by it. Right? I remember the first time I heard a song called The Rose by Bette Midler. Do you know this one?
Yeah, I've heard it.
So I was driving down the 405 freeway in Los Angeles, and this piece of music came on, and about halfway through it, I'm weeping.
Oh.
I'm just I had to pull off the side of the freeway. It was just so, the music, that I was listening to the words, they were just so beautiful. It touched something inside of me, you know. So the Vigyaan Bhairav says one should meditate on the source of joy that arises upon listening to a piece of music. Now, shortly thereafter, I Googled The Rose. I wanted to know the story. And it turns out that the woman who wrote it had what's called a Pratyabhijna, a download, where she was just sitting and all of a sudden the song arrived full-blown in her consciousness. And she just wrote it down. And
yeah, so there was already a spiritual angle to its creation, right?
And so really the point of the story is that one should listen to a piece of music that they really love and focus on where does the joy come from. Quiet the mind, bring your awareness within, and you can discover Shiva Shakti, because that's where it comes from. Whenever we have a spontaneous arising of love or joy or satisfaction, it's coming from the inner self. And so that, so everything in life becomes an opportunity to experience the self. Beautiful experiences, but also painful ones.
Yeah, to recognize and to realize what Kashmir Shaivism really talks about.
Yes.
Now, Swamiji, let's say someone who is watching this podcast, somebody who is a devotee of Shiva, you know, and his or her ultimate goal in life is to reach nirvana, is to attain moksha, is to attain liberation. So how can Kashmir Shaivism or the understanding of Shiva Tattva in Kashmir Shaivism help him to understand life, death, the journey of souls, and ultimately liberation better?
I think it's the recognition that which we're looking for is our own self. That we worship Shiva as an external deity, but that Shiva exists within us as our own being, as our own consciousness. So when I think of the mantra, for example, Om Namah Shivaya, saying Om is the supreme consciousness, Namah, I bow to that, and Shiva, I don't think about Shiva as an external deity, but as that indwelling consciousness that's me.
Yeah.
So
I am Shiva.
I am Shiva. Shivoham. Shaktoham. I'm Shakti. Shiva and Shakti are one, and I am that.
Yes.
So it's recognition.
And we are not separate.
We're not separate. That everything is consciousness, and I am consciousness. I'm a drop in the infinite ocean of universal consciousness. That everything that Shiva does at a macrocosmic level, I do on a microcosmic level.
But Guruji, how to live with that idea? I think it's practically not possible for us because, as you rightly said, there are energy leaks. We cannot, as humans, we cannot live with that idea. We cannot live with that realization.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
That's what sadhana is. It's living with that awareness, you know, of making it, and that's really what sadhana is. Sadhana is training the mind to be constantly vigilant. Most of us, this thought comes and that thought comes, and we're like, we go from desire to desire. Once someone receives Shaktipath, once you receive the transmission, it somehow gives you the capacity to hold on to that awareness.
Yeah.
You know, some people like to use mala.
Yeah, for mantra jap.
So that you can use that as a reminder. In my early days of sadhana, I always had my beads with me, because if my mind wandered, my fingers would still be rolling on the beads, and that would remind me, oh, Om Namah Shivaya, I'm Shiva. So, and I used to actually, in the early days of my sadhana, those little yellow post-it little slips, post-it slips here in India, the little yellow things?
Yes, yes.
And I would put them all around the house. I'm Shiva. I'm Shiva. When I would be brushing my teeth, I'd have, this is Shiva brushing his teeth. Above the stove, Shiva's cooking food. And it would be a reminder for how every experience in life was an opportunity to recognize itself. So I put all these reminders around so that I would, and then eventually you become transformed and you actually think
becomes
that
your
way.
Voice, It
becomes your natural. So your reset button, you don't have to do sadhana anymore. Your reset button is, I'm Shiva, I'm Shakti. Everything is consciousness.
That's a very beautiful way to put it, Swamiji, as you rightly said, that we have to live with that idea that every opportunity, every second of your life is you realizing that you are Shiva. You're not different from her.
Exactly.
You're not different from Shakti.
Yeah. See, my guru told me
Yeah.
to memorize the Shiva Sutras. And so what I did is I would just do one a day. There's 77 of them. And I would just take one a day. I would read the Sanskrit, learn the words. And they're just a few little words, Yana Bandha, Chaitanya Manma. And I would live with that one thought all day long. So everything was Chaitanya, Atma. Everything is consciousness. So I would look for that to be validated in my life.
Yeah.
And so you could do that. You could make contemplation a spiritual practice. Contemplate. What does it mean when I say consciousness in everything? What would that mean to you? You get up in the morning and you meditate using that mantra, I'm consciousness, and you go through the day holding that thought in mind and see the world from that perspective.
Yes, that everything is God.
Everything is consciousness.
Yeah.
You go through the whole day trying to discover, is it true? You don't have to believe it. Is it really true that everything is conscious? You'd be amazed at what kind of experiences you have in discovering the truth. And you can do that with a sutra, like the Shiva Sutra, or you can do it with a verse from the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
You might take a verse from the Gita, read it in the morning, and then memorize it and repeat it during the day and see how your life unfolds.
Oh, wow.
Then at the end of the day, write down what you've discovered. Have a little journal. I used to have a journal where I'd write down the sutra and I would write down my understanding of it, go through the day, log my experiences, and at the end of the day, write what I learned.
Yes.
So the idea is we're really reprogramming not only the conscious mind, but the subconscious mind. See, we all have subconscious and unconscious programming from the time we were kids. We're born in a particular country, into a particular religion, to a particular family. We go through school, and all these values are superimposed on us, and we're not even conscious of. Neurologists tell us that 95% of our thoughts are not our own.
Yes.
That
they're borrowed.
They're self-talk.
Yes.
We call it matrika. In Shaivism, we call it the matrika, Shakti, the ununderstood mother, the power of sound that's always talking. I mean, you really can notice it when you sit to meditate. If you're not using a mantra or something, just sit there and say, I'm going to have no thoughts. And watch the thoughts come, right?
Yeah.
So that's the matrika. This self-talk goes on all day long. It's usually judging us.
Yeah.
He's saying you're not good enough, you didn't do that right. So you become aware of that. Begin to program your subconscious mind. Instead of thinking, I'm a failure, I'm bad, I'm this, you think, I'm Shiva.
Yes.
I'm Shakti. I'm pure, I'm perfect, I'm whole, as I am already. And it's not ego to say that.
Yeah.
Because the spirit, that's true. The spirit, the human being, the ego is what it is, right? But we're really not identifying with the physical body and the ego anymore. We're identifying with our divinity. So we can identify with being a human being, faults and foibles and all that, or we can identify with the pure awareness, with consciousness. And that's the shift that takes place. We no longer identify with that which is going to die
Yeah.
Our bodies are going to die. Everything we've
Truly.
ever done is, going to be gone. But the spirit will live on. So why not identify with that?
Yeah.
I'm neither man nor woman nor a filmmaker or an actor or actress. All of that's going to be gone in how many years?
Yeah.
But the truth is eternal. Why not identify with that? See, we are both.
Yeah.
We're divine and human.
Yeah.
Most of us identify with our imperfections, with our
the human
humanity.
form. Yeah.
The human form.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah. I hope
I'm Shiva.
there's...
I'm Shakti.
Yes. And
I'm pure. I'm perfect. I'm whole. As I am already.
Yeah. And I'm sure, and I hope that this discussion of ours surely makes my viewers realize within themselves that they're whole and that everything is consciousness and that you are Shiva and I'm also Shiva. So
Yes.
I think, Swamiji, it was a wonderful discussion, and the intention with which I started this podcast to understand the deeper layers of Kashmir Shaivism, I think we completely did justice to it. So
Beautiful.
thank you so much.
Well, you did a beautiful job interviewing, and I really appreciate it. I loved being on it. God bless you and all your viewers.
Oh, thank you so much, Swamiji. It means a lot to me. Thank you. So you tell me in the comment section, how did you like today's podcast? What are your viewpoints? What are your opinions on Kashmir Shaivism? How much do you relate to it? What do you think about the manifestation of this universe as a cosmic union of the Divine Father and Mother? Do you also believe in it? Do you feel that you are not separate from Shiva, just like Shakti? If yes, do let me know in the comment section. And what more would you like to know in the coming podcast on Kashmir Shaivism or any other philosophies? That also you can put in the comment section. This is your host Rangoli Sharma, and I'll keep bringing you such insightful and interesting discussions that satisfy your spiritual curiosity, and that is my goal with Speaking Tree. I'll see you in next one. This is your host Rangoli. Namaste.